Hey, what's up everybody? Gonna do a video today about several small things that you can do to save small amounts of time in Randomizer. The common theme of all these time savers is that they are free. Absolutely free, no skill or execution required. The flip side of that is none of them saves a ton of time. We're talking about anywhere between 2 and 3 seconds and maybe a maximum of like 15-20 seconds. We're gonna start here in the shop. This is a mistake that I see runners of all levels make. So when you buy an item and it's the first time that you're getting that item into your inventory, such as sticks, nuts, or a Deku shield, there's an animation of Link holding it up over his head and you exit the shop menu. Typically, when you come into this shop, if you're doing early Deku, you're buying two things for the first time, sticks and the shield, so you're going to get this animation twice. However, a lot of people do this in the wrong order. First they buy their shield, exit from the shop animation, buy their stick, exit from the shop, and then have to go back in to buy more sticks. If you buy sticks first, you get Link doing this. You have to go back into the menu, buy some more, and then buy your shield. You don't need to re-enter the menu. This only saves about 2 seconds, but hey, 2 seconds is 2 seconds. That could be the difference. There's two small time saves I want to talk about here in Child Zora's Fountain. One is about getting into Jabu. What I see a lot of people doing is walking up right in front of Jabu to dump the fish, but you can actually dump it from quite far away. You can even do it all the way down here on the stairs. If you want to check the Zora's Fountain Fairy before doing Jabu, for instance, if you're looking for Boomerang, or if you're only one item away from Go Mode and you haven't checked it yet, what I recommend doing is saving immediately after you enter Jabu, and then going to check the Fairy Fountain. If you find something, you can walk back to Jabu. If you don't find anything, you can reset and you'll immediately be back in the dungeon without having to do any backtracking through the fountain. We're here in Spirit Temple in the block push room. What I see a lot of people doing is pulling this block out and then coming over to this side and pulling it again. However, once you pull it out by 3, there is enough room on this side to grab it and push it. That way you're able to go immediately into the block with the sun on it, rather than pulling it out and then coming all the way back around. Treasure chest minigame is a pain of a check because of how long it takes to get in and then how long it takes to get back out. If you're planning on playing a warp song after chess minigame, my advice is to save when you equip the lens. If it's nothing, you should immediately reset and then play your warp song. This will probably save, depending on whether you're on VC or on emulator, between 15 and 20 seconds compared to walking back out of the chess minigame again. I'll speed this up, we'll time it, and see exactly how long it takes to walk out, and you can compare that to your save and reset time, which, again, will vary depending on your setup. Granted, my movement wasn't perfect, but over 25 seconds to get back out. For me, saving and resetting takes about 12 seconds. So definitely a time save if you're planning on playing a warp song after this. This one won't be useful in most seeds, but when you're picking up the song from Ocarina of Time, the cutscene positions you perfectly to backwalk into the moat. So you just target and backwalk. You don't need to turn around, you don't need to roll around, just target, backwalk, and there you go. There's a number of time saves here in Dodongo's Cavern, especially in the first few checks. Dodongo's Cavern is an interesting dungeon, especially the first part, because it's very cycle-based, with the rising and falling platforms, and there are ways to optimize your movement and the movement of the platforms to make sure that you don't spend any time waiting unnecessarily. A mistake I see a lot of people make is waiting too long to pull out bombs and then having to wait for those bombs to explode and having nothing to do while they're waiting. Those platforms start rising and falling as soon as you enter the dungeon, so I'm going to exit and re-enter and we'll see what we need to do. So you want to pull a bomb as quickly as possible upon entering. Immediately pull a bomb and drop it, and you can see I still have to wait. So there's no sense in waiting to pull that bomb. As I come over here, when I jump to this platform, at the peak of my jump, I'll pull a bomb, and I'll reach this gossip stone just in time for it to blow up. we can hit this switch. Once we've made it over here, the timing is much more lenient. We've got lots of time on this platform. It's even possible to go too fast. Land there too soon, and if you jump, you won't be able to grab the ledge. Again, here at the peak of Link's jump, I pull a bomb, and it blows up just as I reach this wall. One more example of this is in King Dodongo's room. Again, you want to pull a bomb immediately. You can just mash the bomb button. Link will pull it and throw it. You have plenty of time to get over here and open the chest before it explodes. You even need to wait a little bit after pulling it immediately, so there's no reason to wait on pulling that bomb. Stalfos fights are often a little difficult for beginners. There are things that you can do to make them more consistent. That's kind of outside the scope of this video, but for this particular Stalfos fight in the bow chest room in Forest, there's a way to get a free hit on the first Stalfos and a free hit on at least one of the second pair. You want to make sure that you have a jump slash stored. It doesn't matter if your sword is out or not. Damage is stored for power crouch stabs between rooms and temples. It's only when you enter or exit a temple or an overworld area that the damage is reset. So you want to make sure that you've done a jump slash, but again, it doesn't matter if your sword is out. Once we go through this door, we want to hold forward, do a full roll, and immediately throw a nut. This stuns the Stalfos, gives you time to get around, and crouch stab him. So no matter how bad the rest of your fight is, you're guaranteed a free hit at the beginning of the fight. Similarly with these guys, when they pop up, as you see them come up, you can throw a nut, and you get a free hit. If you're quick, you can get to the second one before he unfreezes as well. So you're guaranteed at least 2 free hits on 2 of the Stalfos in that fight if you use your nuts at the right time. A couple things to talk about here in water. So a lot of people know when you're swimming on the surface of water, mashing the B button helps Link to swim faster. This is true as both child and adult Link. So for instance, if you're going from the Lake Hylia warp pad to child fishing, you can just mash the sword button as you swim across and you'll get there a couple of seconds faster. What's less commonly known is that you can also mash A to go faster at the same time, but only when you're underwater. If you're on the surface of the water, Link will go into his diving animation. So we'll see here I'm just mashing B, and now you can immediately see how much he speeds up when I start mashing both A and B. There's not a ton of places where that's handy. Perhaps when you're coming down Gerudo Valley into Lake Hylia, when you're moving through Water Temple here, when you're diving up from the bottom of Lake Hylia when you enter from Zora's Domain, or when you're going down this hallway here on your way to lower the water level. The second floor check in the Water Temple, where you shoot the eye target and push the block, requires you to push the block twice. Most people, when they're starting out, will shoot the eye, go through, push the block partway, come back up, come back down, shoot the eye, push it again. You can get at it from the top if the water level is already lowered, if you have the hover boots only. If you don't have the hover boots, this isn't possible, but it is a significant time save if you do. It saves probably 15 or 20 seconds would be my guess. So once it's pulled all the way out, you just need to go through the shooting the eye area one time. Alright, I'm gonna drop some OOT science on y'all. So this truth spinner, the correct skull resets every time that you enter Shadow Temple or void out in Shadow Temple until you choose the correct skull. It was programmed this way probably to make it more difficult to brute force. MZX Rules, who's the person who developed Beta Quest and is one of the devs for OOTR, did some statistical analysis. I think he looked at either 10,000 or 100,000 iterations of the truth spinner to figure out where it was most often. You probably know that the first choice on either side is never the correct choice. What you may not know is that this one here, as in this case, is the correct choice 44.4% of the time, almost half the time. This one here, 22.2% of the time, and this final one over here, 33.3%. So statistically speaking, the best play to make, if you don't have the lens or don't want to bother equipping it, is to pull it to this skull first. You'll be right almost half the time. This last thing I want to talk about, unlike everything else in this video so far, is absolutely not free at all. It's frame perfect, and it will take practice to get good at. However, attempting it and failing does not lose time. If you don't attempt it, or if you attempt it and fail it, you'll take the same amount of time. Attempting it and succeeding will save you a small amount of time every time you try it, and it does come up fairly regularly through seeds. You probably know that when you have the Master Sword equipped, as Link is running, if he draws the sword, he stops. All of his momentum is gone. This isn't true with the Big Goron sword, so this isn't relevant if you have Big Goron equipped. Very often you want to have your sword equipped on the other side of a door to attack some enemy or do some kind of fight. There is a way to pull the sword out without watching the full little animation that Link does. It's called a quick draw. Again, it's frame perfect. A lot of people get a little nervous when they hear frame perfect. OOT runs at 20 FPS, so we're talking about 1/20th of a second to get the correct input, which, yeah, it's not free, but it's not as hard as it sounds, and with a little bit of practice, you can get this fairly consistently. And again, it doesn't lose you time if you fail. So what you want to do is press the sword button, and then exactly 3 frames later, press the A button to open the door. If you do it 2 or 4 frames later, this isn't going to work. So let's see if I can get it. Yeah, there you go. So Link pulled his sword out, but also opened the door at the same time. We didn't have to watch the animation. Now, if you fail, as long as you're holding forward, this is what it'll look like. Oh, damn it. I didn't mean to get it. See, once you practice, frame perfect things get easier. So that's what it looks like when you fail. And so, again, that's going to be pretty much the same as going through the door normally and then pulling your sword. It may even be a little bit faster. So I encourage you to practice this. It's not as hard as it sounds. So I hope you found this video useful. There are a ton of small ways that you can save time in this game, and the best thing to do if you want to try to get good is to always be looking for them. Always be asking yourself, how can I do this room a little more consistently, a little more quickly? How can I tidy up this movement? How can I save even a couple of seconds on this boss fight? A lot of people think that the trick to getting good at rando is learning all of the hard tricks or mastering the logic. Those are definitely helpful, but a lot of what it comes down to is just finding small ways to save time everywhere. And I hope that these time savers will help you to shave down finish times on your seeds. If you have any more suggestions for small time savers that you found useful, you can please leave them in the comments down below. You can also message me on Discord if you have any feedback or suggestions for future videos. I hope y'all are having a fantastic day. Take care. Peace.